Star Wars only, I don't know what the fuck your problem is.
Alan Horn is a relatively important person at Disney. He's a chairman of the studio entertainment department, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. But despite that, he's a big deal over there at Disney. And recently on The Hollywood Reporter, they interviewed him about some things, including Star Wars, which is why we're here and what we're going to talk about today. So here are the questions that The Hollywood Reporter asked him, and I'm going to read off his response as well. The first question was, Disney has a formidable 2019 slate with Avengers, Lion King, Frozen 2, and Episode 9. How do you manage expectations? And here's what Alan Horn has to say in reply. It's always a challenge because, and I say this with love and respect for the media, the thing about these big movies is they get a lot of attention, whether positive or negative. So when they don't work, like Solo, the media says it's a failure. I think it was a pretty good movie. It didn't resonate as much as we hope it would, but the press writes it up more in a negative way than I would. These are very high-profile movies. If Aladdin, which I happen to think is a terrific film, doesn't work somehow, that's big news, and much bigger news than if a movie somewhere else, like The Kid Who Would Be King at Fox, doesn't work. So basically what he's saying right there is that since their movies they cost more, they're Disney basically, they're made by Disney, they're higher profile, and everyone's looking at them. If they flop, it's bigger news compared to something at Fox, which is The Kid Who Would Be King. Apparently that's a new movie, I didn't know about it. If that doesn't do well, it's not that big of a deal. The next question they ask him is, will Episode 9 get Star Wars back on track? And here's what Alan Horn has to say. I just got back from the United Kingdom, which is not so united, laughs. I went to the set, and I was with J.J. Abrams, Kathy, and the cast. I watched a couple of scenes being shot, and then we all had dinner. I have not seen a cut of it yet, but I watch dailies every weekend and send JJ and Kathy a note every weekend. It's a big deal, and it's going to be terrific. And then the next question is very interesting. They say, what will the next Star Wars movie be after Episode 9? And Alan Horn says, it's all in discussion. And that's it. That's all they have really to talk about with the Star Wars franchise in that. But some pretty interesting replies there. His first response is not my favorite when he says that when a film doesn't work like Solo, a Star Wars story, the media says it's a failure. No, the media isn't saying it's a failure because it didn't work. We're saying it's a failure because it lost money in the box office. It cost Disney $50 million to make. Solo was so expensive. It is one of the most expensive films of all time. I think it's number 6 of most expensive films in the history of making films, basically. And that's crazy that it didn't make its money back. And also for the fact that it's a Star Wars film. That's why it got a lot of attention. It's not just because it's a Disney film. He was comparing one of their films to something like a film being made by Fox at the moment. No, it's the fact that it's a Star Wars film. And it flopped. There's never been a Star Wars film to lose money. That's why a lot of people were really surprised with that and called it a failure, because if you look at the repercussions of that film flopping, you had a lot of films in various stages of productions for Star Wars. This is coming from Tom Kane, one of the guys who worked on the Clone Wars series. He said that there was 9 films in various stages of production, and Disney came out and said, hey, we're postponing anything after Episode 9. We're just going to halt everything. We're going to slow down some Star Wars movies. So yeah, Solo not doing well isn't the media just being negative. It's us saying, hey, it's a failure, and you coming out also saying, hey, it's a failure. You know, it messed up everything else. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of that response. It's not the worst response in the world. I'm not trying to be an ass or anything, saying, oh, how dare he. I'm just saying, we're not being negative. We're not saying, oh my God, it's a failure because no one liked it. We're saying it's a failure because it lost money. That's the only reason. The second response that he gave to, will Episode 9 get Star Wars back on track? He basically just says that he watches the dailies that they send him every weekend, and he's been on set, and he thinks the film's going to be terrific, which I hope it is. I hope it is a great film. I've always said that Star Wars Episode 9 will potentially be the best film out of the trilogy, the sequels that we have going on right now. It is interesting, though, that Hollywood Reporter asked, will Episode 9 get Star Wars back on track? Episode 9 is supposed to be the ending to the trilogy. It's the ending to the sequel trilogy. It's the final installment of the Skywalker saga. It's the last episodic Star Wars film we're going to have. But it's supposed to get Star Wars back on track. That means there's a future for Star Wars. It's weird thinking about it for me. I don't think of the end of the trilogy as something that's supposed to get Star Wars back on track. And the fact that they're asking that means that even Hollywood Reporter knows that Star Wars isn't where it's supposed to be right now. It's supposed to be on a better track for, the future. So I think that's interesting to think about. You also have the third question of, what will the next Star Wars movie be after Episode 9? And he says it's all in discussion. So they're talking about what's going to happen after Episode 9. Because we've all been speculating on what's going to come after Episode 9. Will it be the Game of Thrones creators? Are they going to get their trilogy coming out first? Is it the Rian Johnson trilogy? Maybe another spin off film that was rumored to happen. The Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi spin off film is something we've all been wanting, but that doesn't seem to be happening. So it's really interesting to wonder, hey, what's next? And to say that's all in discussion is good. I mean, at least they're talking about it. I would assume my personal prediction is going to be the Game of Thrones creators, because the HBO guy, the network president for HBO, recently said that after the Game of Thrones show ends, which it ends in 2019, those writers are going to go work on their Star Wars movies, all three of them, and that's a trilogy right there. So possibly really soon, those guys are going to be working on other Star Wars movies after Episode 9. So that may be the order we're going in. But nothing for sure, according to Alan Horn. It's in discussion. Very interesting things. So tell me your thoughts below. What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think? Do you think Episode 9 will get Star Wars back on track? Do you think there will be more Star Wars movies after Episode 9? And if so, which movies do you think will be? And also, from the first question these guys asked, which films do you think are going to make the most money? Between Avengers, Endgame, Lion King, Frozen 2, and Episode 9. Which ones do you think are going to make the most money? Tell me your thoughts below on Star Wars Only. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see y'all next time, and may the Force be with you always.